Hey everyone, it's Michael Kikle. I hope you're doing well today, and I have a review here for a documentary about George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead. This one is called Birth of the Living Dead, or at least that's what it's called now according to the poster and IMDb. The old title used to be Year of the Living Dead. Now, I've wanted to see this for a while. I would see it show up on like Shudder and then Tubi and Freevee, and I never got around to watching it until I went on vacation about 3 weeks ago. And I watched it. It's about an hour and 16 minutes. And I was really hoping it would be good because I love the original Night of the Living Dead. I think it's amazing. Absolutely amazing, man. It's such a good, fun, kind of scary movie, to be honest. And to be fair, it was one of the first black and white movies I ever saw that had me begin to fall in love with black and white movies. And it was alongside Dracula with Bela Lugosi that did that to me. Night of the Living Dead is an all-time classic. Probably my favorite zombie movie of all time. I love the Zack Snyder remake of Dawn of the Dead. But this is the OG. This is what redefined what zombies were. They weren't just ghouls anymore. They were just brainless, evil things that wanted to eat and eat and eat. They weren't like a Bela Lugosi white zombie or something. Anyway, I wanted to love this documentary because I wanted so much out of this documentary and it did not deliver in any way, shape, or form. It started to, and then it completely lost me. Essentially, it starts out talking about the story about what happened with Night of the Living Dead, how they made it, how they funded it, all of the good stuff, what happened with the copyright, why it's in the public domain. That was really cool to find out. I really enjoyed all that info. However, this is where the shame comes in. However, and the majority of the interviews were just Romero, which was cool. I've never really heard him talk or listened to him discuss things. I really enjoyed hearing him sit down and talk. He has that old man hippie energy, which is cool. I've really enjoyed him for that. Very funny dude, very sweet man, and, rest his soul. I love him to death. But he's gone now, which is sad. This is probably the last documentary we'll ever have involving him directly, unless they use clips from this for other documentaries in the future. Anyway, later on, they begin to get into the thing that you've always heard. Now, every time I've ever heard someone talk about Night of the Living Dead, they talk about the cultural significance, whatever the fuck that meant. Then they always hint on about Ben, the black main character of the film, who's the hero of the movie that I love so much. And they talk about him like he's a fucking statue. And personally, I don't think Ben was ever played that way. I don't care what the times were. He was never meant to be played that way. He was never that kind of character. The actor himself was so good, he didn't play him that way. Nor was he written that way. I am very much in the party that believes Romero had weirdo critics that hooked onto this idea of this cultural discussion about racism, and then he was like, yeah, that's the ticket, that'll make me more money, and he jumped right in there and said forever on that that's what that movie was about. I personally, when I watch it, I don't see that bullshit. I don't. I think that they picked a phenomenal actor to play Ben, who was the best actor, and that's it, in my opinion. I think it's got a lot of cool stuff in there about racism, but I don't think the movie is about racism, period. I think it's bullshit. I think critics made it up, and I think Romero, again, jumped right on into it and explained like it was supposed to be the case. This movie goes into that shit, and when I heard the way they explain this nonsense, immediately it clicked for me that every asshat who has said over the years that this movie is about racism are full of shit. They're either full of shit or they're media literacy, which I know we all joke about nowadays, but this is a great clear-cut example of people not knowing what the fuck they're talking about, making up shit, reaching so far over there to have their politics, their beliefs, whatever, be a part of something that's just not there, in my opinion. I don't think it's there, and if it is there, it's so vague and subtle that I would not make a whole documentary. A big portion of this hour and 13 long minute movie is probably 45 minutes dedicated to that horseshit, like anybody cares about it. But the surrounding outside of that wasn't constantly about the times and racism and blah, blah, fucking blah from the SJW side of the world. Outside of that, I love the info I found out about Night of the Living Dead because of how good it is as a movie and how much I love it and respect it and adore it. They went on way too goddamn long about all of these political things. And like I said, as soon as you finish hearing them talk about it, they keep going on. They have everybody fucking comment about it. They have these racist asshats come in here, start talking about white privilege and shit. back in 2013, before this really became a massive discussed issue on the internet, like 3 years later in 2016. It was embarrassing, dude. It was fucking embarrassing, and it really ruined and tampered with what I was enjoying with the movie. It wasn't poorly edited, even though it wasn't the best edited. It wasn't a bad movie. The interviews were going well, but the shit that showed up in here later on was insane. The fact that they wasted so much time of this shit on that subject matter for no real reason, in my opinion. It's just a fucking defense of this nonsense that hippies came up with back in the day. To try to take a good movie and just say that it was more than a good movie. No, Night of the Living Dead is a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece. You will not hear anything else from me. But this shit, I don't believe Romero believes it. I don't believe the critics believed it back in the day. They're just bullshitting you. But I love the movie. This movie, not so much. And Birth of the Living Dead is a massively missed opportunity. I hate to be that way, but it just is. And I take massive points on for all the wasted ass time on shit that does not matter. Trying to tie Night of the Living Dead over like the Martin Luther King Jr. shooting and shit, that's embarrassing. You should be ashamed of yourself for trying to act like you predicted that shit coming or something. Yeah, they try to do that. They try to be like, oh, we called the times. You stupid assholes. Hollywood is so full of shit. Even if this was an indie movie about an indie movie, get the fuck out of here. Anyway, really rough documentary. Very heavily, like a 60-40 percentage rate on what's good, what's bad. The 40 being the good part, the 60 being the giant waste of time. That's a shame, because I wanted to love this. I wanted to see this documentary for so long about a movie I love so much and have loved for so long. And it just did not work out, man, at all. It was a fucking bummer. Anyway, I don't recommend the documentary. If I was going to rate it on a 5-star basis, I would give Birth of the Living Dead probably... I want to go with it. I'm just going to say a 2 out of 5 stars. It was fucking bad, dude. It was not even to the quality of something like Living with Chucky, which I just reviewed right before this. It was a tad bit better. And that film had giant issues with it, too, when it comes to, like, Seed of Chucky's discussion. But this was worse. This was worse because of all the wasted time to one topic. Instead of all the other things you could have talked about. Like, they just fucked up big time. So, another example of politics ruining a documentary. It's fucking stupid. Anyway, have you seen Birth of the Living Dead, Year of the Living Dead, whatever it was called whenever you saw it? What did you think about the film? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Do you love the Romero zombie movies? I'd love to hear all that down below too. Thank you all for watching, guys. God bless you all. Catch you later, and goodbye.